Another popular fly for lake fishing, as well as for stream fishing, is the scud. This is what I call an epoxy scud, or Z scud. For the feelers out here, we have some Zelon, a little bit of teal or mallard flank, and the legs are out of Zelon. The underbody is out of monofilament, and then the outer shell of it is epoxy. And this particular shape on a scud is most effective for when you're using it in a swimming motion, like the natural would be going through the water. So let's tie this thing. We're going to use a Tiemco 200R. Get it in the vise there. And we're going to use that clear monofilament thread again. And we just start it and we'll get it going here. Cut off the excess. And we'll get just down onto the bend of the hook here a little bit. Just like so. Now we're going to take some clear or white Zelon. So we're going to take a little rope of it here. We don't want to use quite the full rope. We want to separate it a little bit. Or if you want, you can take a comb and comb through here, which is probably a lot easier to do. Just kind of take it and fray it out a little bit. That looks to be enough right there. Put it all together. I'm going to tie a little bit out over the eye, or over the bend of the hook here, just like so. Don't need much more than that. Cut that off, and we're going to keep this for our legs at a later time. I'm going to come in here and trim this just about like that. Just want a little tag of Zelon sticking out there. We're going to grab some mallard flank here. I'm just going to strip it out there and hold it by the tip so it's nice and even. Cut it out. And we have our tips all nice and even there. And we're going to lay it up on top of the hook shank. We want the length to be just a little bit beyond that little tag of Zelon. I'm going to take a couple turns of thread here just to tie it down, just like so. Trim off our excess. Now what we're going to do is just form a little bit of an underbody with this monofilament. By using the monofilament, we can have an almost completely transparent fly when we're done. Just like so. Build up a little hump here. Build in a little taper. Come back a little bit more this time. Just like so. Now we just about got it. And there it is. And we've got to hurry up and finish this fly up. I can hear the fish jumping behind me here. Now we're going to pick up the remainder of that Zelon. And before we start tying with it, we'll just get it a little bit moist so it sticks together here. It makes it easier to work with. And just keep it in one rope. I'm going to tie it in on the underside of the fly. Just take a couple turns of thread so it's kind of tacked to it. Pull the Zelon forward. Take a turn and tie it down, and then bring your thread back. Snip it off. And then bring our thread forward. Just repeat the process another time. Tie it down. Pull it forward. This time we're going to go all the way to the eye. Trim off the excess there. For the last time, we're going to tie it right behind the eye. Again, pull it forward and kind of down. Bring it there. Now we're ready to tie it off. So we're going to grab our whip finisher. Come up and tie it off. And leave it just like that. Trim off our excess. And we'll trim off that extra long Z-line. Now the fly is complete. Now what we're going to have to do next is mix up some epoxy to put on here. To do that, I just use these little notebook pads or stick'ems. Now we're going to mix up some epoxy. Put a little bit on our notepad here. Don't need a whole lot of this to mix up. As you can tell, the day's getting a little short here. We're starting to get some shadows. And we're just going to mix this up. And let it sit up for a couple minutes. And then we'll start to apply it to our fly. The next thing we're going to do is put some epoxy on our bodkin. And we're going to just go over the top of our monofilament body here. We'll just keep adding a little bit more of the epoxy. Just so we cover up the monofilament. Then what I like to do is put a little bit more right in the thorax area along each side. The only reason I like to do that, it just makes it look a little bit more like the natural. Just like so. And I'll extend it just a little bit out onto the mallard. Make sure it's all flowing nice and smooth. Add a little bit more there. And that's about the, well, we'll add a little bit more. Not quite satisfied here. Add a little more to that hump area. Just like so. There we got the shape we wanted. Just like so. And if you have the rotary vise, like this AK's new vise here, you can just take it and rotate it. Kind of place it wherever you want the epoxy to be. That way it doesn't sag into one spot. And just let it rotate. Have to make sure it sets up in 5 minutes. And then what we're going to do is come back and color it. That's one nice thing about using the synthetic materials. Nice little trick that I learned from Mr. Betts. If you tie it all in white, you can always come back and make it any color you want to. And that's just what we're going to do with this little Scud pattern. Just kind of dab it a little bit. Don't need a whole lot since it's kind of translucent. Just dab it a little bit so there's a little bit of white and a little bit of olive. Makes it look a lot more natural that way, just like so. And then just to finish it up, we'll come in here and just trim the legs a little bit. And there you have. Oh, got to trim a little bit over here. Get him out of the way. Just like that. And there's another one. Just like that. And that's the epoxy Scud.